say hello as my name is Terri Milton and I am in Houston, Texas. Way down in the South. Um, Donna, thank you so much for having me today. As Dr. Turner, thank you for the opportunity to speak before all of you. My liver journey started actually in 1998 as I had given blood to the American Red Cross and received a postcard in the mail afterwards. And it basically all it said was, oh, by the way, as your liver enzymes are elevated, you probably need to go ahead and go see your doctor. And so I did, and he sent me on to a GI specialist who specialized in the liver. And after many, many tests, as he said, Terri, he says, you have fatty liver. He says, it's not a big deal. He says, everybody has it. So this is 1998. And I left that appointment, and until 2017, I didn't worry about my liver. I knew I had one, but it wasn't something that was on my mind. Around 2015, I started having lots of different problems. So I was always tired. I was exhausted. Abdominal pain, is pain throughout my body. And it was just one of those mystery things of wondering what in the world was going on. Honestly, is just kind of like with Megan. Megan's mom I was diagnosed with lupus. I was diagnosed with pancreatitis. I was diagnosed with a lot of different things, but really not with what was going on. In August of 2017, we finally decided that possibly my gallbladder was giving me a lot of problems, and decided to do elective gallbladder surgery. And during that surgery, my surgeon found that my liver was cirrhotic, and so went ahead and did a biopsy in 3 places. And I'm so glad that he did at that point. He was already in there and did the biopsy. And I told him as when I came to is no matter what, call me. And so he did. And he says, Terri, he says, you have cirrhosis of the liver. And you also have something called NASH, and that's what causes cirrhosis. And when he said that, is first of all, as to me, kind of like what Tony had said, is cirrhosis. Yeah, I'm not a drinker, how do you get cirrhosis? How did that happen? And then NASH I had no idea what it was. My surgeon wasn't aware of what that meant or even understood what it was. 8 days after my surgery, I gained 40 pounds in fluid, and ended up back in the hospital because one of my incisions opened up, and I was draining out 2 to 3 liters of fluid each day for 12 days. I was very sick. I was jaundiced. I had gone fully from silent cirrhosis, compensated completely, to decompensated. In October 2017, I had my first hepatic encephalopathy episode. And it was I felt like I was going in slow motion. My world was turned upside down. And I can honestly tell you is I knew what was wrong. It finally, we could connect all the dots and understood is that I was a patient with NASH, but there still wasn't a lot of understanding of what it meant. So I did what everybody else did, is I go to the Dr. Google, and he gave me really bad information and told me I was going to die in the next couple of weeks. But honestly, that made me want to make sure that people had the right information, that they had information that they could use, that could honestly be used to help them. And so I started a search, and I joined a support group. Um, and in 2018 is I was hit with another diagnosis. Um, I was hit with a diagnosis of HCC, with hepatocellular carcinoma. Um, since then, I've had 3 tumors that have been found, 4 different treatments. So I've had a microwave ablation, I've had a radio frequency ablation, I've had a TACE, transarterial chemoimmobilization, and a TARE, transarterial radio immobilization. And in September of this year is 2 additional lesions were found. So we're waiting until December because at this point in time, my liver's kind of fragile. I am on the transplant list. And every day as I live with pain, I live, I keep anti-nausea medication with me constantly because I never know when it's going to hit me. There are so many different things that are a part of what I'm doing. So when I look at my life now and before, I realized that as I took it for granted, is what health looks like. At the time, whenever I was diagnosed with fatty liver, I was not diabetic. I did not have high blood pressure. I did not have, but I am a Hispanic female. And there are a lot more within the Hispanic community that are diagnosed with fatty liver and NASH. And so as I had that going for me, but I know this is that I have made it kind of a passion, a goal to make sure that not any other patient gets as far as I am. So it's getting the information out there and making sure that patients are aware, that doctors are aware. I've worked with my primary care physician and helping him to build screening into his diagnostic system, especially when patients come in or are diagnosed with diabetes. I get to speak to a lot of different people across the United States, and because of the support groups that I run, is that I get to talk with people from around the world. And just like you've met right now, as I'm the 4th NASH patient you've met this morning, is each one of us have a different story. Each one of us have come from a different place, from a different source, but we're all diagnosed with the same thing. Before I retired, I drove special needs buses, and I is worked with a lot of children with autism. And there's a thing that said is that if you've seen one child with autism, you've seen one child with autism. And that goes the same for a NASH patient. If you've seen one NASH patient, you've seen one NASH patient. It is not representative of everybody else because all of our stories are different. I take 18 pills a day and have 5 injections. Those pills treat my symptoms. They don't treat my disease, the underlying disease. And honestly, for me right now, my liver is to an extent that there's not any way to even consider that it would treat anything that comes up. But when I receive a transplant, I want to make sure that that new liver, my new second chance, has an opportunity to thrive, especially if there's a genetic predisposition that because of my Hispanic background, that I have a chance, that my kids do. My daughter is 33. She has been diagnosed with fatty liver. And of course, as a mom, as I'm going to talk to her about it. And as a daughter, she doesn't always listen. But I know that we want for our kids and for our parents and for our brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and friends. We want them to have an opportunity to live, to not live in pain, to not live with the understanding of not knowing. Um, I've put my household in order. I have my will written. I have all the things in place in case I'm not able to make decisions. And I know this is that um, each and every day is a blessing to me. I have challenging days. I have days that I cannot wake up. I do have overt hepatic encephalopathy. I have had to have varices banded. I have ascites. They have to watch my lungs to make sure that fluid doesn't build up in my lungs and gets pushed up into there. My weight fluctuates because of some of the injections I have to take. Um, but I know this is that even within the midst of that is I have hope that when I speak before groups like this, is that you're hearing me. And not only that you're hearing me, but that you have the power to be able to do something, to make those decisions, to impact the people that are yet to come. I help build awareness and am excited to be able to do that. But I know this is that if a drug came available, I would be overjoyed. I deal with symptoms every day and side effects of medications. Any kind of side effect would be worth if I didn't have to go through what I am doing now. Like I said, as I am on the transplant list, some of the things have changed a little bit as far as in HCC and exception points since Tony had his uh, transplant. And so now I wait with a lot of other HCC patients, many of them with NASH. We have an epidemic that's going on and it needs to stop. It's a silent killer. How many people, how many people have this and don't even know it? And yet when they do find out, there's not much that they can do to even treat it other than to treat the symptoms. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to address the needs here. I am just overjoyed at this opportunity. And I truly, truly thank you.